Hey everybody, I'm Phil Merrill. Today we're going to talk about the agony of anxious attachment. And I wanted to do this as a podcast, as a longer form, for two reasons. One is if you identify with any of these things about feeling anxious attachment, I hope it's encouraging to you. But also, if you don't, maybe this gives you some insight into what it's like for your partner. And so the agony of anxious attachment is this feeling that I cannot be okay when I am not seen by you. That it's a push-pull. I feel like I'm too needy and I need to share that with you, but I worry that that's going to be too much and push you away so that I won't share it. But by not sharing it, I feel miserable and tense and anxious. So I want to share with you, but I feel that by doing so is too much. And so I don't. And it's this push, pull, and it can get to this point of frantic tension, misery. And as a therapist, I see this behavior so often, and it's so sad because so often the behavior that comes out, the pursuing, the, hey, what's wrong? Or, hey, why didn't you text me back? Or it's accusatory, ends up pushing people away. And so often we don't recognize and see the hurt and the pain of the person experiencing it. Let me give you a couple examples. When someone is experiencing anxious attachment, it's like they are on a desert island and they are miserable. And it's, where are you? If I could just get to you, if I could just reach out, the ship's passing by, then I wouldn't feel so alone. Then I wouldn't feel so crazy. And so they start shooting flares. Originally they're waving their arms, they're going, where are you? And then they start shooting flares just one more time to get you to see me. But then what happens when they shoot the flares is the ship passes by or actually goes the opposite direction, which to that person feels so discouraging and overwhelming and hopeless. And there's this sense for a person with anxious attachment that it will never be okay because their body is on fire and it's just saying, I cannot rest. So when there's a moment in relational conflict, it's like, I can't be okay. I can't rest. It's tunnel vision. I have forgotten everything in the past week, and all of our relationship is in this one moment. It feels like it's summed up, and it's so intense and so overwhelming, and it feels like a crisis. And if I don't take care of this right now, I'm going to be stuck on this island. I'm going to be deserted forever. And what's so sad is that that's not necessarily true, but that's how it feels to someone with anxious attachment. And not everyone experiences that. And that's what's so tough is we hear that term anxious attachment and we think, well, I feel anxious sometimes. Maybe that's me. But it not often, that might not be you. It's really this place of agony of I'm too much. I'm not enough. I need you and I feel bad for needing you. I need you, but I feel like by sharing that with you is a burden, and I care about you, so I don't want to be a burden. So I don't. And it's this continual back and forth, push-pull. Sometimes it's like a shotgun. It's like I'm just going to shotgun blast everything just to get it out. But what ends up happening is I hurt people with that shotgun blast, and then I feel even worse. And at that point, there's so much emotional turmoil. There is so much confusion, damage, different layers that it can just feel so heavy that you just get burned out. You don't even want to go there. And that is what I, again, call the agony of anxious attachment. And the whole goal of me sharing this is to give, if that's you, to give yourself some compassion. You're not crazy. You're not alone. You are hurting, and that hurt is real, but the way you are expressing it and the meaning and the truth that you're drawing from that experience isn't quite right. And so I share this with you to know you're not crazy to feel. You're not crazy. You're not too needy. You are a human being, and it's a good thing to bring up those needs. It's just when you get fixated on that and that becomes the only story. Too often an anxious attached person will say, well, because I tried to talk to you and you weren't open to me, therefore you don't prioritize me. Or you called your friend on their birthday, but you didn't call me, therefore I don't matter. And it comes across accusatory. You start drawing conclusions from things that make sense to a degree. They help you make a meaning of your story. But it's this like self-fulfilling prophecy that isn't 100% true, and that's what drives you crazy, and that comes back to that loop. So rather than saying, I'm feeling disconnected, I'm feeling alone, I'm feeling scared, it becomes you doing this because of this, and no one's going to receive that well. No one's going to, yeah, sure, I'm doing this, because they're not, and that's not true, and then that'll just leave you feeling not heard and disconnected. And so it's this agony of your drive for connection and comfort ends up pushing away the people that you love, which then feeds into your fear that I'm too much and I'm not actually wanted. And then it just gets louder and louder and louder until one of two things: you just move on or you burn out. And that's a really scary place when you have anxious attachment, to be burned out, because you're like, I can't share or I'm going to get shut down. I can't share anything. And then you're just living, walking on eggshells, living in fear, afraid to just be, afraid to just say, this is how I feel, which is how you're wired. And it's so sad. And I feel for you. And to be honest, I've been there. There's been this experience of, what? How could you not see that? How could you not understand? How could you not see, like, I want to know this about you. How could you not want to know that about me? And just draw a desire to go closer and to connect more. And it can feel so lonely, and it can feel so intense and discouraging. And the tough part is those feelings are real. Never lose those moments where you need to express how you feel. To just verbalize it. Just say, I'm feeling hurt right now. I'm feeling upset. Rather than holding it in and going, well, I shouldn't feel that, or that doesn't make sense, and it drives you crazy. You go back and forth. And it's okay to feel. It's okay to be a human being. It's not okay to tell the story and to run with it and to act out and to accuse and to yell. And so often, maybe you found yourself doing this, you'll send a text and it'll be very accusatory and long-winded, right? I think we've all been in those situations where either we've been sending the text or we've received the text that's paragraph, 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 paragraph. And it's overwhelming. And I don't believe text is the appropriate medium for that type of conversation. But to someone with anxious attachment, it's like, this is the only way I can get these words out is over text message, because I can't do it in person. It's too overwhelming for me. And if I try to in person, you run away from me or it doesn't go well. So I'm going to send it over text. And I would say, go ahead and write things down. Write yourself a note. Write yourself a letter. That's okay. Get it out on paper. But then don't send it over text. Text is for, hey, what time are we picking up the kids? Or what do you want for dinner tonight? It is not for deep emotional connection, because the odds of something getting misinterpreted or read the wrong way are too great. And as human beings, we're not designed to communicate deep emotion over a text message. Okay, but that's why that's happening. Again, to someone with anxious attachment, I've heard it said your body's on fire. And the way I've experienced it, it's like your body, it feels like a crisis. It feels like a crisis. You cannot ignore it. You can't It's like fight or flight. And if I don't do something, if I don't respond, it's going to go this. And I think so often we don't learn how to experience discomfort. And think about, like medically, say something happens to you and it's painful. Like growing up, growing pains, right? Like my muscles are sore. Like it just doesn't feel good. And you know how scary it can be when you're experiencing pain and you don't know why and you don't know what it is? And it's just like, oh, what am I, right? How many of it, WebMD, do I have cancer, right? Like, what is this? But you feel better once you know. You feel better. Oh, that's what it is. So growing pains, when you understand, when you're like, what is happening? And then someone else, it's just your muscles are growing. It's normal. Somehow that makes it easier to get through the pain. So I think someone with anxious attachment, the pain is very real. I have to tell you something's off. It feels like it's in crisis. That experience is real. Just, it'll be okay though. Just give it some time. You don't have to rush to deal with it in that moment. It's better for you to recognize, hey, this is okay. This pain is real. And really what the pain is, as an anxious attached person, I hope you hear this, is I'm learning how to not emotionally outsource. This is so key. When you feel that pain, that discomfort of, it feels like my relationship is in crisis, what's wrong? Let that be your cue and your guide that I get to grow and not emotionally outsource my experience. I don't need you to tell me it's going to be okay. I need to accept and understand what I'm feeling and be okay. And then share that with you in a safe, healthy way to deepen our connection. I can't stress enough. When you're an anxious attachment, how often you sense something's off. Hey, what's wrong? Right? What's wrong? Are you mad at me? And what you're doing is it's a lot easier to manage someone else's emotion. I'll get them happy. I'll get them good rather than what do I need? Am I good? Can I be okay? Can I sit with my discomfort? That's where people pleasing comes in. That's where the outsourcing comes in. Is I'm going to take care of you, get you good before I can be good. And that takes a lot of strength. It takes a lot of maturity, but that also takes a lot of support. If you come from trauma, if you come from a history of broken relationships, if you come from an environment where you're surrounded by a lot of emotionally immature people, I don't know how you're going to do that, how you're going to learn how to do that. You have to be surrounded with healthy people that can support your emotional growth, that can model that can give you space to be okay, that can give you space to be a little raw. That's where therapy can be helpful. But in order to keep from emotionally outsourcing, you got to sit with the pain. You got to sit with that discomfort, and you have to pause, and you got to breathe, and you go, yes, everything feels on fire. Yes, everything is this agony that I need to deal with it right now, but can I zoom out and can I go, what's the big picture? Hey, that felt off, but just last night we had a great conversation. What do I do with that? Hey, yeah, it feels really off right now when she just left abruptly and I wasn't finished sharing. But we're still in the same bedroom. We're still in the same home. No one yelled, no one left screaming. To keep that perspective, to sit with the pain, the growing pains of your heart and your emotional maturity and go, I don't enjoy this. This isn't comfortable for me, but it is my opportunity to grow and to learn and to recognize how how can I better understand myself? And so that the thing, if you're experiencing anxious attachment, I want to encourage you, that's not a curse. That's not a death sentence. You can grow to secure attachment. You might always have a proclivity for this anxious attachment or pursuing or reaching out, but that's a gift. That's a gift because it means you care about your relationships and you want to make them better and you want to make them deeper and you want to press in and you want to know and you want to be seen deeper and you want to reach out. Like, never lose that. That's such a beautiful thing. And being able to make connections and see things and recognize, oh, this is probably why about this and how about that. That helps you empathize. Helps you empathize with other people. That gives you greater insight. Just know that that isn't always the full story. And you're not a mind reader. And that's not always necessarily true. But don't throw that out. Don't hate that part of you. Just realize that is, I believe, how God has wired human beings to kind of push and pull and navigate to a deeper level, the kind of mysteries of relationship. I don't have it all figured out by any means, but I have seen in my own life the gift of self-acceptance and space and trusting the process and the gift that comes with, hey, I can grow. I'm not stuck. I'm not set in my ways. There are different things I can do. I remember I used to be, for a long time, I just accepted I am bad at conflict. I'm just bad at conflict. And for some reason, I just carried that. I just wore that as an identity rather than going, well, no one was there to teach me. No one was there to talk with me through that and go, what is that? What do you mean you're bad at conflict? And I would have been able to say, well, I'm uncomfortable with conflict. And then they would have said, okay, well, what does that mean? And that would have forced me to look in the mirror instead of emotionally outsourcing and going, what am I uncomfortable with? Oh, well, I have a fear that I'm going to lose the relationship. Right? And when you can own that and go, wait, what? I have a fear that I'm going to lose the relationship? But I don't have any control over that. A relationship takes two. And if this person doesn't value me, then that says more about them than about me. If our relationship is really going to be threatened based on a disagreement, then maybe it wasn't that strong of a relationship to begin with. And so the agony of an anxious attachment is you get stuck in this place. And too often, a lot of our culture, we're uncomfortable with conflict. And what ends up happening is it just reinforces, hey, you're wrong. Hey, you're bad.